It's Caroline here from Aussie Cards and Crafts. I'm not here to show you a card today. What I would like to show you is how I store my my stamps and my dies. So I'll just bring these up. These are some of my dies. You can see that I do a divider, and that is simply a piece of A4 paper cut down to size, and then I use my machine, which I use a Dymo machine like this, and just put the name on it. And these ones are nested ones, so obviously you're seeing nested dies in there. There's mechanisms, which is the round mechanism there, which is the magic window die. So you'll see I've named it round mechanism 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and 3 of 3. Pop out mechanism, etc. So there's many different. I mean, I've got several of these tubs. The tubs, if you live in Australia, I got these from Bunnings, and they come in the grey, they come in the cream, I think they might come in a brown as well, but I'm not 100% certain there. And that's all I do. I use a envelope. These ones are the ones that I use, which are the Avery L, and these are only for the dies that I'm talking at the moment. The Avery L, they're the large stamp and die storage. They're 5.5 inch by 7 3/4, and you get them in a pack of 50. You can get them at craft stores. I got mine online, and I think I did buy some from a craft store as well. But to me, they work really well. So I'll grab a couple of those out. Now, the way I do them, and you'll see, and I have to stress that this is only what I have found that works for me. So I thought I'd share it with you. The way I store mine is basically on a piece of black card with the name right up the top. So decorative border small. Not sure where that actually came from. Oh yeah, that came from there. So what I use with this particular envelope here, the Avery L envelopes, I use a piece of black paper, which is 5 3/8 by 7 3/8. So it's 5 3/8 along there, and it's 7 3/8, and you will see that fits perfectly into there. Okay, so that's what I do. Now, instead of, a lot of people you will find will use the very big pieces of magnet, and then they cut them to size and they put them in there. Unfortunately, I had so many dies that I couldn't afford to do that, and I'll be totally honest with you. So I came up with a different way of doing it. And once again, if you're living in Australia, this is magnetic tape, and it's self-adhesive magnetic tape, and you can get it. I got this at Bunnings. If you're overseas and watching this, check out your normal hardware store. I'm sure they would have something similar. So all I do is I work out how much I need, and I cut it to that size, or roughly. I take the backing off and pop it down there and put him on there, and you will see he doesn't fall off. Okay, so you don't need the whole thing to be filled with a magnetic sheet. I then slide it in, and I will put the name up there, and I'll probably call him Prancing Reindeer or something like that. So with this one, this is a stamp and die set. So you will see I've already put the piece of magnetic tape on the back here. With these, I find that a lot of the stamp sets that I get don't fit into these. You can see that does not fit into there. So what I use is I use the A5, just the protective sheets, and I slide them in. I use white for this one. You'll find that the dies will come with a piece of acetate at the back and a piece of acetate at the front. I put some tape on the back of it. I then can just quickly slip that. Well, doesn't want to come off. You take the top layer off, and we'll do the top layer on this one too. It's a new actually a new tape. It's quite strong. Okay, and then what I do is pop that on there. And then that can slide straight in with the dies on the back, so that dies are being held in place as well. That can then slot straight in to the A5 sheet. If you're not all thumbs, that is. Okay. I think the acetate sheet on this one is actually probably right on the size of A5, so it's having a bit of trouble getting it in. But once it's slid in, it's fine. Now I don't have a name for this one other than like a brand. But what I normally do is I will put I'll call this one Large Bunch of Flowers or Bunch of Flowers up there. I'll put then Stamp and Die underneath, and then I'll put the brand there. With this one, I don't have a brand because my sister-in-law gave it to me, so I will just call this Prancing Reindeer. So I'll just switch my machine on. No, I'll clear that because so I'll clear that, and then I'll call this Prancing Reindeer. Between the words, I don't just print one off and then print it out, because you will waste about that much both sides of it. So I just do a space. So I've got Prancing Reindeer there. Now I already have got Bunch of Flowers from the last one, so I need Stamp and Die to put underneath that. So and normally I'll fill the whole thing up before I do it, but I would like to show you how I do it, so I will just print this out now. There's many brands of these. This is just one that I found in my local store. Yeah, and as I say, this is only one way of doing it. I'd love to hear some other ideas on storages. So we'll wait for that to print. So as you can see, when it starts printing, it goes in about 1/2 inch. And when it finishes printing, it goes in 1/2 inch. And that's just wasted. Really and truly, that is just a waste. So I just snip that off. I've then got my Prancing Reindeer. I'll take the backing off. And because this one doesn't have a brand name, all it will be is just Prancing Reindeer. And that will then get filed under Christmas. Okay, so Prancing Reindeer will go in there. With this one, I will then, it's called Bunch of Flowers. I'll just take the end part off. Like so. When I first started doing these, I had that many dies. It took me ages to do it, but I'm so glad that I did. Now, this is a Stamp and Die, so I always, underneath the name of it, I put Stamp and Die, so that when I'm flicking through those tubs, I can see that there is a corresponding die with it, and the die will always stay with that particular stamp. My reasoning for having them stored, a Stamp and Die to be stored in with the stamps, is that you stamp first and then you usually cut out with your die. So I would prefer to have it in with my stamps rather than the dies. So that will then get stored in my, here we go, Bunch of Flowers. I don't know whether this is the actual one. No, it isn't. I haven't got flowers in this one, but basically I've got the same thing. You know, I've got sentiments there. They're all sentiments. These are all animals. I've got numbers and letters that are stamped, and I've got cartoons. But I've got many other tubs of these that are in my cupboard. So I will file that one in a moment. What I'd just quickly like to talk to you about before I finish off today is how I store my scraps. And we all have scraps. I know we all have scraps because it's part and parcel of the craft that we do. So what I do with my scraps, and this is, once again, this is only my way and my idea of doing it, but I find this to be very, very effective. I have a very big tub that sits in my wardrobe that I keep a lot of my storages, and these get stored like this, upright like this, and I can see what is actually in there. So beginning of the year, I got sick and tired of wasting so much paper by going through. I used to separate them to plain paper and pattern paper, and then I needed something, so I'd go through it and through it and through it, and then you need something again and you'd go through it again, and they all get dog-eared and not fit for use. So what I do now is all my plain paper, you'll see that this is all green. So all my green plain paper goes into one envelope. I label it green plain. So when I'm doing a card, if I want to do some leaves that are in green or anything like that, I'll come to this particular one and I can die cut it from there. The next one, I'll do that one in a moment. The next one is, excuse me, cream. And I use a lot of cream for my bases. So you'll sometimes find some really big pieces in here. Looks like there's one there that can actually be used as a card base. So that one is a piece of 6 by 12. I can use that as a card base. So it doesn't go in with my my full pieces. It will go in here, and the first place I look when I go to do a card will be my scraps. So there's my cream. I've also got specialty ones. So where I've got the green one there that I showed you before, I will have a green specialty. Now this is blue specialty, and anything that is either mirror card or is glitter card will go in here, any offcuts. And it doesn't matter how big or small they are. You'll see in here there's some quite small pieces in there, but you'd be surprised how often you use them. With my pattern papers, this one is called pink patterned, and you'll see that there's pinks right the way through. And if I need something that I can use, like some of these pieces are actually quite large, so I can use them for cards, because quite often you only need it for the layer on top. So you can quite often get, depending on what size your card is, you can get it out of one of your scraps. So I've got pink patterned, I've got blue patterned, I've got green patterned, I've got brown patterned, etc. You get the gist. So there's that. The other one that I've got here is theme specialty, and this is cars. Also on there I did a Harry Potter one for my daughter-in-law. So I've got the Harry Potter themed ones in there. There's music in there. So things like that are more themed. And I just keep those into their own little envelope. You can name them what you want. Entirely up to you. If you were in a music society and you did a lot of musical cards, you might have a music envelope there. Entirely up to you. But I found that they don't get dog-eared this way, and I can lay my hands on them and the right piece at any given time. So it's just an idea. I hope you found it helpful. I know that I would have loved somebody to have told me how to store my my scraps when I first started, because I had scraps everywhere, and I had literally, that deep in both the patterned and the plain. And it did take some sorting out, but I'm pleased I have, and I really do use scraps a lot now, so that's a really good thing. Thanks for listening. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it and you found it informative. I will look forward to hopefully hearing from you and seeing you at on our Facebook page, which is Aussie Cards and Crafts. And until next time, when I will have a card for you, thank you for listening, and goodbye from me. Bye.